Welcome, chosen ones. What man intends for harm, God can turn into purpose. That's not just a line from Scripture, it's a reminder of who you are and the power backing you. You've faced attacks, lies, and attempts to tear you down. Yet here you are, still standing, still breathing, still unbroken. That's not luck. That's divine protection. You're not just anyone, you're chosen. You were picked for this path, not because it's easy, but because you're built for it. People tried to destroy you, to dim your light, but they failed because they underestimated the God who fights for you. And now, the tables are turning. Those who plotted against you are about to face justice, not your justice, but God's justice. The kind of justice that doesn't miss, doesn't delay, and doesn't need your help. They couldn't take your life because God said, "Not today." And in an instant, He can take everything they built on lies and deceit. This isn't just a story about their downfall. It's a story about your resilience, your faith, and your purpose. It's about rising above the chaos and walking boldly in your calling. Watch this video and let it remind you why you're chosen, why you're protected, and why no enemy can ever outrun divine justice. Your survival isn't just proof of your strength, it's proof of your destiny. Number 1, God's justice is timeless. Human justice is flawed, delayed by red tape, influenced by power, and often incomplete. People get away with things they shouldn't, and those who've suffered are left wondering if justice will ever truly come. But God's justice? It's on a whole different level. It doesn't follow human timelines or limitations, and it certainly doesn't need anyone's approval. While human systems require evidence and witnesses, God sees everything, the lies, the manipulations, the intentions behind every action. Nothing escapes His notice. When someone wrongs you, it's natural to want immediate consequences. You might think, why is this person still walking free? Why hasn't karma caught up with them yet? But what if God isn't just ignoring the situation? What if He's preparing a reckoning that's far greater than anything you could orchestrate? His justice doesn't always look the way we expect it to, but when it comes, it's undeniable. Here's the thing about God's justice. It's not just fair, it's absolute. What man builds on deceit, corruption, or cruelty can be wiped out in an instant. The things people cling to, their power, their reputation, their wealth, can disappear like smoke the moment God says, "Enough." And when that happens, there's no court of appeal, no second chance. So don't waste your energy trying to force justice through your own hands. Let them think they've won if they want to. God is watching, and His justice is coming. When it does, it won't just balance the scales, it'll flip the entire system on its head. Rest in that. You don't have to fight every battle. Some battles belong to Him, and trust me, He never loses. Number 2, your life is priceless, but their time is limited. Your life carries a value that no one on this earth can quantify. It's not tied to titles, bank accounts, or the opinions of others. It's priceless because it's God-given, and nothing created by human hands can diminish that. The ones who tried to hurt you, control you, or even break you only saw what they could exploit, not what makes you untouchable. They believed their power, money, influence, or position could dictate your outcome, but they overlooked one unshakable truth. God holds the final say over everything. While they operate as if they're untouchable, their time is running out. You see, worldly power is temporary. It may look strong, even intimidating, but it's built on shaky ground. God can pull the rug out from under them at any moment, and when He does, all their schemes, all their so-called strength crumble. What's ironic is that they think they're in control of your circumstances, your peace, even your future. But in reality, they're on borrowed time. Your life is sustained by a power they can't access or understand. They can push, they can plot, but they cannot touch what God has already protected. You are more than their target. You are chosen, and their ability to disrupt your journey is limited. Every breath they take is at the mercy of the same God who shields you. So don't waste a second worrying about what they've done or might still try to do. Their time has an expiration date, and while their power fades, your life will continue to stand as proof of divine preservation. Rest in that knowledge. You're walking in God's purpose, and no amount of worldly power can outlast that. Number 3, power struggles fade in the face of eternity. People who seek to harm or control others are chasing an illusion. They believe their power, influence, or manipulation can cement their place at the top. They push, they dominate, and they exploit, thinking they've built an empire no one can topple. But here's the truth they ignore. In the grand scheme of things, their power is nothing but a mirage. It feels solid, but it's fleeting, temporary, and easily dismantled. Every kingdom man has built eventually crumbles. No amount of control, no position of authority, no wealth can stretch across eternity. What they cling to so desperately is as fragile as sand slipping through their fingers. The moment they think they have the upper hand, they're already losing because no human power can last forever. Eternity doesn't care about their titles, connections, or ambitions. God is the one who sets the course, and his plans don't bend to their egos. While they spend their days trying to control outcomes, people, and even you, their time is running out. All the manipulation, all the games, it amounts to nothing when eternity steps in and wipes the slate clean. Meanwhile, your strength isn't in fighting their petty power struggles. It's in knowing that these battles are temporary. They operate as if this world is all there is, but you know better. Their grasp on control is weak and short-lived, while your purpose is tied to something eternal. So let them play their games. Let them think they've won. Their influence is fleeting, and when the dust settles, they'll see that what they built was never theirs to keep. Eternity has a way of humbling the proud and lifting up those who trusted in something greater. Number 4. The weight of their actions cannot escape divine reckoning. When people wrong you, it can feel like they've walked away without a scratch, while you're left carrying the weight of what they did. The pain is real, the injustice stings, and the silence from the world around you can feel deafening. But what you see is only the surface. Behind the scenes, their actions are being weighed, measured, and prepared for divine reckoning. God doesn't just see what they did. He sees why they did it. He sees the arrogance behind their lies, the cruelty in their choices, and the ripple effects of their injustice. While human eyes might miss the full scope of the harm they caused, God doesn't. He sees the wounds they left behind, the opportunities they stole, and the peace they shattered. And because he sees it all, the consequences are far beyond anything human justice could deliver. You might be enduring temporary pain, but their actions have set something in motion they can't outrun. Divine reckoning doesn't work on our timeline, but it's never late. God waits until the moment is perfect, not just to address the wrong, but to make sure every piece of the fallout hits exactly where it needs to. The scary part for them? There's no escape. No amount of power, wealth, or strategy can shield someone from the weight of their own actions when God calls them to account. And when it happens, it won't just be about punishment, it will be about balance. Everything they took, every ounce of suffering they caused will come full circle. So hold on, your pain is temporary, but their reckoning is eternal. Let God handle what you were never meant to carry. He always sees the true cost. Number 5. Man's threats are temporary. God's retribution is eternal. When someone threatens you or tries to destroy what you've built, it's easy to feel shaken. They use fear as their weapon, making bold claims about what they'll do, how far they'll go, and how much control they think they have over your life. But here's the truth they fail to grasp. Their threats are nothing but noise. No human being, no matter how powerful they seem, can override the will of God. Their threats are temporary because they come from a place of ego, not authority. They rely on their status, their resources, or their connections to instill fear. But none of those things hold weight against the power of the one who created it all. God doesn't just observe their actions. He's already accounted for every move they'll make, and he's prepared to respond in ways they can't comprehend. Divine justice doesn't operate within the limits of human understanding. It's not bound by courtrooms, timelines, or public opinion. When God's retribution comes, it's precise, unrelenting, and eternal. What they tried to build on threats and manipulation can be undone in a moment. Their words, their plans, their schemes, they all crumble when faced with the undeniable authority of God. So don't let their noise shake you. Stand firm in the knowledge that you're protected by something far greater than their power. They may think they hold the cards, but they've already lost the game. Their threats are meaningless when compared to the eternal justice that's coming for them. God's will always prevails, and nothing, no threat, no scheme, no force can stand in its way. Number 6. God's timing is perfect, even in chaos. It's hard to see the bigger picture when you're in the middle of chaos. When people come against you, scheming, plotting, or outright attacking, you naturally want justice immediately. You think, why isn't this being dealt with now? Why is this even happening? But while humans rush in with impulsivity, God's timing is always perfect. He's not late, he's strategic. Humans act out of desperation, trying to force outcomes and manipulate situations. That's why their plans always have cracks. They're built on haste, fear, and arrogance. But God doesn't rush. He sees the entire picture, not just the moment you're in. He's not just working to resolve your situation. He's orchestrating everything to align in a way that not only corrects the wrongs, but also strengthens your purpose. When they act, it's reactive. When God acts, it's deliberate. Their attempts to harm you might feel overwhelming, but they're temporary distractions in a much larger plan. God is never idle. Even when it feels like nothing is happening, he's setting the stage for a resolution that will leave no doubt about his power and justice. When the time comes, and it will come, God's correction is precise. It's not rushed or incomplete like human justice. It's absolute. Every attempt they made to harm you, every bit of chaos they caused, will meet a response so exact that no one will question its origin. So, trust the process. While their actions might seem loud and immediate, they're just noise compared to the eternal wisdom of God's timing. What feels like a delay is really preparation. When he moves, it's not just for your good, it's for his glory. And when that moment arrives, chaos will turn to clarity and justice will shine through unmistakably. Number 7. Their power is limited to this world. There's a reason why those who crave control cling so tightly to their earthly power. It's because that's all they have. Their influence is tied to what they can manipulate in the material world: money, titles, status, and fear. They operate as if these things give them ultimate authority, but their power is shallow. It's limited to this world, to what can be touched, seen, and controlled. God, on the other hand, rules over everything, seen and unseen, temporary and eternal. The systems of this world might let people rise to positions of power, but those systems don't dictate ultimate outcomes. God's authority reaches far beyond the material realm into the spiritual and eternal, where no human being has even a fraction of control. What people see as power is nothing but a fleeting illusion when compared to the sovereignty of God. They can use their influence to try to block your path, harm your name, or disrupt your peace. But their reach ends where God's begins. And God's reach? It's limitless. He governs outcomes they can't even fathom, steering situations in ways no human mind can anticipate. They may think they hold the keys to your future, but they're mistaken. The truth is simple. They're playing a temporary game, while God operates on an eternal level. Their moves are restricted to this world, while God's plans stretch across all realms. Don't let their power intimidate you. It's fleeting, fragile, and confined. What they control today can be taken from them tomorrow. Rest in knowing that God's authority has no boundaries, no weaknesses, and no expiration date. Their influence is a passing shadow. His is eternal light. Number 8. Injustice attempts boomerang back. When people plot harm, manipulate, or deceive, they think their actions will go unchecked. They believe they've outsmarted the system, escaped accountability, or buried the truth deep enough that it can never surface. But what they don't realize is that injustice doesn't just disappear, it circles back. Every attempt to control, harm, or deceive becomes a weight they'll have to carry, and sooner or later, it will come crashing down on them. The universe runs on laws far greater than anything man-made. One of those laws is that what you put out into the world eventually returns to you. It's not just karma, it's divine order. God doesn't let injustice hang in limbo forever. When someone throws harm into the world, it's like a boomerang. It might fly far, causing pain and chaos along the way, but it's always heading back to the source. The thing is, they don't see it coming. While they move on as if their actions were justified or forgotten, divine intervention is quietly at work, aligning everything for the perfect moment of reckoning. And when that moment comes, it's undeniable. The harm they caused, the lies they told, the manipulation they used, it all turns back on them, amplified and undeniable. You don't have to fight every battle or chase after their wrongs. God sees it all, and his timing is flawless. Injustice may seem to win in the short term, but nothing escapes divine correction. Their attempts to harm you are ultimately harming themselves, setting into motion consequences they can't outrun or undo. Trust in that truth, and let God handle the weight of what was never yours to carry. What they started, they will have to face, fully and without escape. Number 9. The fear of losing control drives their actions. People who try to take your life, your freedom, or your peace aren't acting from a place of strength. They're acting out of fear. Their every move is driven by a desperate need to control what they feel slipping through their fingers. They manipulate, threaten, and harm, believing that if they can dominate you, they'll regain some sense of stability. But what they fail to see is that their control is an illusion, and the harder they grasp, the more powerless they become. This fear of losing control blinds them to the reality of God's supreme authority. They think they can dictate outcomes, rewrite truths, or bend people to their will, but their power is so small and fragile compared to God's unshakable control. While they scramble to tighten their grip, God is the one holding the ultimate plan, unbothered by their schemes and unaffected by their tactics. Their actions are not about you, it's about their internal chaos. They're trying to dominate external circumstances to mask the fact that they have no real control over their own lives. But here's the truth. No one can challenge the authority of God. He governs every moment, every consequence, every heart, and every decision. What they do in fear, he allows in wisdom, using even their worst intentions to shape outcomes for his purpose. Let their desperation remind you of where true power lies. While they act out of panic, you can stand firm in peace, knowing God's control is unshakable. Their attempts to dominate may cause temporary disruptions, but they have no say in the final outcome. God's authority doesn't waver, and no amount of fear-driven actions can alter his plan for your life. Number 10. What man intends for evil, God transforms for good. When others intend to bring harm, betrayal, or darkness into your life, it may feel overwhelming. They plot and scheme, thinking they can control the narrative, manipulate outcomes, or leave you broken. But the truth is, what man intends for evil is powerless when faced with the transforming power of God. His ability to redeem, restore, and repurpose even the darkest circumstances is unmatched. At times, it may seem like the pain, loss, or betrayal will consume you. It may feel like there's no way out, no purpose to the suffering, no reason for the injustice. But what they fail to see is that God works beyond what we can comprehend. He takes the very situations meant to destroy you and transforms them into stepping stones for his will. What others intended to tear you down, he uses to build something greater, something that reflects his divine purpose. Divine transformation doesn't erase the pain, but it gives it meaning. It shows that even the deepest wounds are woven into a greater plan, one that serves a higher purpose. The darkness others impose may feel overwhelming, but through God's lens, it loses its power. He takes the ashes of your suffering and turns them into something beautiful, something eternal. So don't be afraid of the evil that seeks to surround you. Trust that God is working behind the scenes, refining the pain, and using it to align your life with his purpose. What they meant to destroy, God will repurpose for your good. His transformation is unstoppable, and his plan is perfect. Number 11. God's power is undeniable, even in silence. When others believe they've silenced you, taken your voice, or stripped you of your peace, they underestimate the power of God's presence. They think that because they don't see immediate justice, that means God has turned his back or is somehow absent. But his power isn't measured in how loud or visible it is, it's undeniable even in silence. God watches quietly, even when the world screams injustice. His silence doesn't mean inactivity. It means preparation. He observes every detail, every manipulation, every betrayal, and nothing escapes his notice. While they may believe they've gained control or dominance, their actions are ultimately futile when weighed against the authority of the divine. The times when it feels like you're alone in your suffering, the moments when the weight of injustice feels unbearable, those are the moments when God's power is most potent. In his quiet watch, he is weaving together a perfect plan that surpasses human understanding. Injustice may seem to go unnoticed, but his timing ensures that every wrong is addressed with precision. No injustice is forgotten, no falsehood goes unexamined. Even when the world turns a blind eye, God sees everything. He may not act on our terms, but when his justice arrives, it's unmistakable. His power is unstoppable, and nothing, no lie, no harm, no control can stand against it. Numbers 9. Temporary victory is hollow without divine justice. When someone seeks to take from you, whether it's your peace, your freedom, or your dignity, they may experience a temporary victory. They might manipulate, deceive, or harm in the short term, believing they've gained the upper hand. But here's the truth, that victory is hollow. It holds no weight when measured against the reality of divine justice. What they achieve through manipulation or control is fleeting. It exists only in the present moment, only in the confines of this world's limited understanding. Their triumphs are shallow because they're not rooted in eternity. God's justice, however, is timeless. It reaches beyond the surface and addresses the true cost of their actions. Their power to harm or dominate may feel overwhelming in the moment, but it lacks the depth and permanence that divine justice carries. When they take from you, they forget that nothing is beyond God's reach. No matter how much control they exert or how cleverly they hide their wrongdoings, their consequences will echo into eternity. What's done out of selfishness, manipulation, or harm leaves a void, and that void will be filled not by earthly success or power, but by divine reckoning. Their temporary victories are insignificant compared to the weight of what God sees and knows. Nothing is truly hidden from him, and every injustice, no matter how small or large, is accounted for in his perfect judgment. So, while they may enjoy short-lived triumphs, know that their hollow victories are meaningless when faced with the truth of divine justice. God's timing is always perfect, and his retribution surpasses the limitations of human understanding. Number 10. Their pride becomes their undoing. Arrogance has a way of becoming a person's greatest weakness. Those who seek control, power, and dominance often operate from a place of inflated ego and pride, believing they are untouchable. They think their influence is unassailable, their manipulations unstoppable. But what they fail to realize is that pride blinds them to the reality that God holds the ultimate power, and his authority surpasses everything they hold dear. Pride feeds the illusion of invincibility. It convinces them that their actions are justified, that their schemes will lead to lasting success. Yet what they forget is that God's justice is timeless and unfaltering. When their pride becomes their foundation, they build on shaky ground. Eventually, what was once a towering fortress of arrogance crumbles beneath the weight of divine correction. The pursuit of control may seem victorious for a time, but pride distorts their view of reality. It keeps them from seeing the bigger picture, the one where God's hand is at work, gently but firmly dismantling their influence. No matter how much they strive to dominate, deceive, or manipulate, their hubris will eventually lead to their downfall. God's power isn't wielded through force or manipulation. It operates through truth and justice. Those who are blinded by pride will face the stark realization that their actions have consequences far beyond their immediate success. Pride, at its core, is a fragile illusion, and it will crumble when confronted with the weight of divine authority. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye for now and stay blessed.